Okay, so this project is going to have an Android app tagged along with it. Now we'll go over how I built and designed it and just some simple functions, just to kind of get you up to speed. What I use is this MIT App Inventor. I stumbled across it about a year ago and I really like it. They use what's called block programming, which I'm not a fan of, but it has a lot of ups and it makes getting started pretty quick and easy. So this thing is a what you see is what you get editor. So the first thing we'll have to do is just go ahead and click this create apps button. So you see the first thing that pops up is this terms of service. If you haven't done this before, you're going to get this. You'll need to agree. And then you log in using your Google Gmail account, and it's going to give you some stuff here about having App Inventor available on iOS, and then just some other setup type stuff. Then you can get in there and you can actually start making your project. Uh, Go ahead and name what the project is. That way you have a good reference point. Be descriptive, but there are issues, no spaces or anything like that. Don't get too creative with special characters. So like for this one, it's garden help. Use an underscore to indicate your spaces. And then we get in and we can actually start making. You can kind of see it gives us a uh, emulation of what a phone would look like. And from here we can start to add, you know, drop it, drag and drop type things, labels, buttons, uh, list fields, pickers, and then we have all kinds of other stuff going on in here as well. We'll touch on some of these later. But some of this is really useful. I haven't explored a lot of this stuff, so I don't know how most of it works. But to get a basic app open is fairly easy. So we'll go ahead and toss a couple things in here to get started and build a base screen. Really is all we're going to do to start off with. So now that we have some stuff placed here, we need to look at how we edit it. And over here on the right hand side in this properties pane, we can actually change values of stuff. And each different component has a lot of different values to change. But for this label, if I change the text, type something in, and then select off of it, it's going to update it. And I can do that for all of the components that I drop on this screen. So now that we finished that, there's one thing that I'm wanting to do, and this is the first time trying it. I want to add new screens. So first I'm going to go ahead and label this one meaningful, because that way when we get to it, we know what it's about. So this is all the water control information. So now I'm going to add a new screen. And you kind of need to have an idea what you want this screen to be, because you got to give it a name. So we'll get this one set up and we'll start adding stuff to it. You know, we got another blank canvas here. So we'll go through and we will add components to this. And this one here, I'm actually going to set up as a Bluetooth connection screen. And here we'll be able to do our scan, connect to stuff, and all that fanciness. So since this is going to be a Bluetooth thing, we have to tell it that we need Bluetooth. And so if we go down here, we can actually in connectivity add some Bluetooth components. That way it knows that it needs to use it. And we have to do this for every screen that's going to use the Bluetooth. So on this one, I add in the Bluetooth, and then that will allow me to add Bluetooth code to it. So now that we've gotten some of these fields changed, updated the way we want, we can move on to the next stage, and that is actually adding code. So we click this blocks button, we get a new blank screen. From here, we can start to add blocks. And if you look over here on this left-hand pane, we got lots of choices, and each option gives us even more choices. So we can scroll through here, we can look for all kinds of stuff. There's bound to be something good for us in here, no matter what it is you're trying to build. So I'm going to go ahead and just start putting together some stuff, and you'll see in the end, this is just I'm copying an app that I've already done to use as a base to get started. From here, hopefully we'll have something to work with, and just to kind of show you the rest of what's going on. We won't get a fully functioning app, just enough to move forward to the next phase. The really nice thing about all this that you can see is it's color coded, and that really helps for understanding what's going on here. So you can see I'm grouped into different types, and I've also got groups for different components on here. So if I click on one of these components, you can actually see that I get different colored blocks for each one. And the different colors represent the different types. So you can see we have, up here at the top, we have control, we have logic, we have math, and each one has different options. With more use, you'll begin to understand which each one is and what you can accomplish from it. But that's the one thing that I really like about this block style, although it's not my go-to. It really helps teach you logic and process-based programming. Now that we've gotten some base code covered, um, what we need to do now is look at this companion app that we're going to use. For this, I've skipped ahead in my code, and I'm using a more advanced one, so I can actually show you some functionality aspect of it too, to experiment with our code. So what this companion app does is it establishes a connection between your Android device and the server, and it relays information back and forth. That way you can run a version of the app without actually installing the app. So the first thing we need to do is on our phone, open the MIT App Inventor 2 app. Once you have that open, in the App Inventor, you'll need to open the AI companion. And it'll pop up a QR code, and it'll also give you a letter code. You can enter either of those in there. I tend to use the QR code. Now, for some reason, whenever I'm doing the QR code, it rotates the screen on my Android device. I don't know why it does that, so that's why it flipped sideways like that. But now it's starting to establish a connection. And as we'll see here, it freezes on me. And this is something it just started doing recently. And so what I'm having to do is I'm just going to click dismiss. We'll reset the connection. And in the App Inventor on my phone, I'm going to hit this use legacy connection button, and then I'm going to try and rescan. So we'll get it to give us a new QR code. actually goes and connects much faster using that legacy connection than it did before. But now you can see it loaded up on my phone with whatever screen I was on in the App Inventor project. A nifty thing is when I change screens on the phone, it changes screens in the App Inventor. And so it follows along. That way you can see where it's working at. I can just sit here and work the app and test it, and if I make changes in the App Inventor to my code, it in real time adjusts them. So if I change the value, say for a button or a label, it'll, as soon as I update it in the app, click enter or click off on something else, it updates it on the companion app on the phone, which is really nice. It's a quick way to troubleshoot and make changes, especially when you get to the design. You can quickly play around. As a side note with design, try it on different devices if you actually do intend to publish this. So that's a quick overview for the Inventor app. I hope it helps you out.